Hi, it's Ethan Musolini, the Merchant of Success. Welcome to another segment of this series on life and career development. Today, we want to talk about how do you become an effective supervisor. Usually you find people, you're there, you're technically proficient. Before you know it, you're promoted and you have people under you and you have to supervise them, but you have no clue. You just know what to do with your job or your previous job, and technicality does not mean ability to lead others. Being technically proficient does not mean being a great supervisor or leader or manager. So hence the purpose for this. So these are the 5 segments. Clarity, meaning clarity is about the what and the why, the mindset, the strategies, the skill set, and the mastery. That's going to be our focus. Let's kick off with clarity. So when we talk about an effective supervisor, what do we really mean? We mean someone who gets results, someone who listens, and also communicates effectively. An effective supervisor also makes decisions. Also, an effective supervisor protects their team. I like it when a football manager, as an example, when their player is under attack, they protect the player in public. And I'm sure one-on-one, if that player misbehaved or didn't perform, they'll be taken on. But at least I like leaders who shield their teams. Where necessary, of course, I have to add that. But there are people who just throw their team members under the bus. Part of your job as a supervisor is you're supposed to also act as a shock absorber, right? An effective supervisor is also knowledgeable and also sets example. When I say example, when I was thinking about this, I was reminded that one of the things I preach is time management. And if you notice, at least we start on time and end on time. Okay. Now, one day, Kabgo, who's the head at Success Africa, who is the heart and who's the heartbeat of Success Africa, looked at me in the eye, says, Ethan, when we have appointments with clients, that was like 5 years ago or so. When we have appointments with clients, we keep time. When we have our own internal meetings, you do not always keep time. Sometimes I would, but sometimes I wouldn't. So at that moment, I woke up to the reality of saying, look, I have to be consistent, and I'm not setting a good example for the team that I lead. So that was great feedback. And by the way, he said that because part of the culture at Success Africa is you're free to give feedback. You not giving feedback is unacceptable, but you giving feedback is absolutely acceptable. A great supervisor also builds teams, empowers others. And when we talk about empowering others, there's something else, there's a segment I was talking about, most likely around team building, one of the products, one of the previous sessions. There are people who hold back from empowering others for fear that if they empower them, that the competitor or someone else might steal them or take them away. And in my view, that's a wrong mindset. I like it how one put it, that if you're fearing that if you train them, someone will take them away, how about if you don't train them and then they stay? Then what happens? Okay, so you're staying with incompetence. But the thing is, what I've also discovered is when you do a great job and this person is a shining example, they become your ambassador wherever they go. That has happened to me a few times. Also, a great supervisor believes in their team. If you can't believe in their team, they won't believe in you. And if they don't believe in you, then you have little impact. Also, great supervisors, they apologize when in wrong. Right? So meaning it does not make you less of a supervisor. There are leaders who think that when they are wrong, they should never apologize or show that they are wrong because they feel it will show that they are weak, or that they are not a leader enough, or they are not a supervisor enough. Wrong. If anything, you show the other side. You notice that there are people, we have huge respect typically for leaders who take responsibility and say, I'm sorry, and they even resign. That's magic. Someone taking full ownership. So when you make a mistake, when you're in wrong, you're owning up. Part of leadership is for you to own up. So why become an effective supervisor? Why is this important? Number one, this drives results. This is what you're hired to do, to produce results. Next is, when you're effective, you solve problems with ease, because a supervisor solves problems daily. By the way, one of the reasons why a supervisor is typically paid more than the person they are supervising is because they handle more problems. So if you find that you are handling many problems, it means someone from above trusts you enough, but that's part of your job. So the thing is not for you not to complain around the problems you have to solve daily. That's part of your job. Also, it's important because when you are effective, you create a shared vision. And when you create a shared vision, then you increase chances for everyone to succeed. Also, you grow your team as you also grow yourself, because the truth of the matter is, the more you help others to grow, the more you grow yourself. So it's very crucial for you to always be on the lookout and watch out for how you can help other people to grow. You're also able to manage conflict with ease, because the more effective you are as a supervisor, the easier it is for you to manage conflict. And I'll be talking a little bit about that a little later. Here are some statistics to remind you of. 24% claim that their bosses invade their privacy. That means that for you as a supervisor, are you the kind who is so nosy into people's private matters? And if you're nosy into people's private matters, please stop it. Stop it, because it's not cool at all. It's not a reflection of effectiveness as a supervisor. The other thing to note is that 23% state that their supervisor blames them or other workers to cover up personal mistakes. So meaning when they make a mistake, they do not own up, but rather they point fingers. And what's shocking, usually with such characters, by the way, those characters who point fingers to cover up for their personal mistakes, they are the kinds also when the team wins, then they take the credit. They want to own the credit. You see, I'm a great leader. You see, my team is amazing. You can see how effective I am as a manager or as a supervisor. So again, the reminder there is stop blaming others, own up. 27% report negative comments from their management. So meaning they look, they have lots of negativity. No, I shouldn't say lots of negativity. So 27%, they talk about this negativity around their management. And according to this study, 40% of workers in the business world think they work for bad bosses. So the question is, are you part of the 40% or are you part of the 100%? That's very crucial for you to take note. Are you a good boss or a bad boss? Are you part of the 40% or 60%? Please do not type in the chat box to tell us where you lie. Okay, I like what Godfrey Kalonji has just said here, that you train for the world, not your organization alone. That's why having a training bond in an organization is ancient. Thank you, Godfrey. And what Godfrey is meaning there is that you're adding value to the world, so to speak. to make the world a better place. And say, Ethan, this is not, you can say, this is not clear. What is that? Stella and Becca said, train people and let them choose to stay or leave. Train them so well that they don't want to leave. I like especially the last one. Train them so well that they don't want to leave. So they feel indebted to you. And I had one of those characters. Is someone who was offering one of my staff 3 times. And that staff of mine then, when I just started, said, no, I'm still learning a lot. No, I'm not going to go. So it's very possible indeed that you train them so well that they don't want to leave. Let's now look at the mindsets. Here are 5 crucial mindsets for an effective supervisor. Mindset 1 is transforming conflict into creative action. So the mindset here is great supervisors acknowledge that conflict exists and that conflict can be used to generate innovations and actions that drive organizations forward. Smart organizations are fine with the idea of conflict. It's all about how you manage it. It's not just about eliminating it or avoiding it. It is how do you use conflict? How do you use that moment? I remember one of the, well, I keep using soccer team examples. That's my favorite hobby, watching soccer. And I remember there are some 2 players of a certain team who went at each other. They had lost a game and 2 guys were angry at each other. And the coach said, no, that's fine. So they were being asked in the media, are you worried about it? I said, no. That's fine. That's part of the dynamic. I like people who are passionate. I want that energy on the pitch. So he was looking at that energy, that conflict as a resource, because then these guys were demonstrating passion. And then what do I mean here when you say conflict into creative action? Meaning when there is a conflict, you utilize it. You ask yourself, all right, how do I use this? What is the value in this? How do we leverage this current conflict to create something beautiful moving forward? And sometimes conflict is triggered by someone pushing so hard over something that you disagree with. And sometimes when you choose to have a little bit of an open mind, you might find a breakthrough idea. The growth mindset is that part of your job is you're putting everyone in a position to succeed and grow. Okay. And that's part of the magic. Are you helping people to succeed and grow? You can learn any new skill and so can people on your team. So that's what you need to, that's the mindset you need to know, to have. You need to adopt the mindset of growth, of always learning, and also push your team members to do the same. And when I say push, I don't mean being too nasty. I'm just saying you inspire, you challenge the people. You tell them how you believe in them. Some of my team members have part of how I push them and say, look, this is not a reflection of what you're capable of. I'm not saying that you're stupid or foolish. No, I'm saying this is not a reflection of what you're capable of. You're capable of much, much more. And those who are smart are very responsive to that kind of challenge. That's what I mean by pushing. The other mindset is the change mindset. You need to embrace change. And embracing change is a sign of great leadership, especially in times that like these. Some of the old leadership models, some of the old supervisory models are no longer working now. If for you were stuck in the model of I must see you seated at the office. So if that was your model, then what? People are working from home, then what? So as a supervisor, you must prepare your team for change. Take initiative and enable the team to thrive through changing times. There are so many things I still have to work on as a leader or as a supervisor. There are so many things I have lots of strength. I also have lots of weaknesses that I'm working on. But there's one thing that I feel was a smart move from me when the first lockdown happened. I quickly researched about pandemics and all that, and I noticed that they happen in waves. And I discovered that typically, like this, the following waves are even worse off. So I told the team, I said, look, team, I know that this is not the end of all this. So even when things opened up, I still insisted for the team to work from home, because I knew, I said, we are just going to be working from home. Let's prepare ourselves in case of another wave, which I know is going to happen, which has happened. Then we would be ready. We'll still be knowing what to do or how to perform. And that there, I was preparing the team for change. So you need to figure out things. So that means part of your job as a supervisor is foresight. What do you foresee? What do you foresee? And how can you prepare your team? So, and it's been very helpful in many ways. Okay. Challenging sometimes, and also the foresight then helpful in a couple of ways, because I know that, for example, let me not go into the details, but just know it's been very helpful. The other key thing is the abundance mindset. This mindset allows you to empower as many people as possible to do what you're doing and more. Eventually, you have to grow your current position and other people take over. This is how you grow talent. There are people who, I really don't get it. There are people who hold on to things they don't want, they know something, they want to hide it, they don't want to share it. Wrong. That's a scarcity mindset. An abundant mindset, you know that you're going to outgrow these things. You ideally should be thinking of outgrowing your position. That should be your mindset. Therefore, you empower people. And sometimes when you empower people, then they come back and empower you. The person's designing these slides, it's me who first trained him to do slides, taught him the basics. Now he does things I cannot do, can do things I am not able to do. I can't design all these things. But you see, I was not holding back to say, okay, if I teach him, then, he'll become very valuable and people will take him away, And sometimes it happens and that's life. But the point I'm making is empower people. And then in the process, you'll be empowered. Now I'm being empowered by the same person I empowered. So he went way miles ahead. So he's now my teacher. I was his teacher initially, now he's my teacher. The other mindset is the result-oriented mindset. Effectiveness means results. An effective supervisor doesn't get petty. You major in measures, you focus on enabling the team achieve the objectives. And there's that last line, minimize reports on activity and focus more on productivity. What did people produce? That's the ultimate thing. Not just the number of hours, but also how much was produced is the ultimate metric that counts. So you have to push for the mindset of results. That's key. And when we say major in measures, you need to know your level. You're a leader. You can't be a leader and you're just there counting how many spoons of sugar are people putting in the tea. Really? Oh, Lord. Okay, unless you're a foods and beverages supervisor or something like that's a different, but you're there, you're supposed to focus on strategy, and now you're just there counting how many spoons of sugar people putting in their tea. That's measuring in minors. What will create the biggest result in your organization? And then you focus on that. And there are little fights you shouldn't get into. Godfrey says the fish rots from the head. The supervisor is as good as their team. If they are bad, the supervisor is the same. Great, well put. All right, now let's rock and roll to strategies. Strategies for being an effective supervisor. All right, I hope you're ready for this. The first strategy is performance management. You need to have clear goals and expectations. You need clarity in terms of, you need to define how success will be measured. And also show the consequences of performance or non-performance. There has to be that clarity. And some of the complaints I hear when we're engaging with different organizations, there are those moments there when there are gray areas, it creates a lot of angst, it creates a lot of discomfort. And a specific example which has been commonly highlighted by different staff members is you hear of someone say, you hear of people complaining, but so-and-so is better in performance, and yet her colleague is the one who was promoted, okay? So meaning there isn't clarity in terms of promotion. So if things are clear in terms of, okay, if you hit 1, 2, 3, 4 things, then you are up for grabs when it comes to promotion, or this is what it means for demotion. So there's need for clarity, especially in terms of defining how success will be measured. You'll be surprised that there are many organizations where there are people working, but they don't know what they are supposed to achieve. You'll be shocked. When you talk about talent management, you need to acquire the right people. Develop talent, create talent improvement plans, review competencies and develop a needs list, train your team, equip them with the right skills. But there's that line of acquire the right people. That's huge. I learned many years ago I would encourage all of us to read the book, Good to Great. And one of the lines there, he says, get the right people on the bus, not the bus that you know, okay? What he meant, get the right people in the organization, hire the right people, and then the rest will sort itself out. What he meant was if you get people with the right skill set, the right mindset, especially their mindset, with the right character, right mindset, the rest can sort itself out. So most of the challenges that we have happen right at the moment of hiring. Smart business people tell you that you make your money at the moment of purchase. If, for example, when you're purchasing, let's assume you're a trader, saying that your money is not made when you sell, it was made when you bought. When you bought, at what price did you buy at? What were the conditions of that product that you bought, as an example, and at what price? So that was the ultimate determinant of money making, not when you're selling. So in the same way, most of the problems, and I can attest to that, in that if you hire the right character, the right mindset, especially those two things, character, mindset, you've sorted out 80% plus of the issues that we typically have. Because the truth of the matter, if someone has the right character and mindset and they're a little bit short on skill, they will still find a way to acquire those skills. Of course, the ideal is find the right skill, character, and attitude. So the ideal is to find the balance of three. Okay, let me just review that. Let me rewind that. So skill set, character, and attitude. Now, it's difficult, it is challenging to teach character. The reason why I was emphasizing character and attitude is it's quite a challenge to teach character and attitude. Skill is very, very easy to teach, to equip people with that. So some of the, by the way, let me give you a quick tip in that I learned many years ago on discovering what people's values are. So one of the questions I like asking is, all right, so what quality do you look for in your, what quality do you look for in your closest friends? Now, the qualities they mention, those are their values. So that's one of the ways, that's one sneaky way to figure out what people's values are. The other strategy, which is crucial, is the people management strategy. You need to develop emotional intelligence. This is a learnable skill, even though there are people also who seem to be gifted at it. Like my daughter is 7, she's super gifted at emotional intelligence, super gifted. She has that knack. My sister has much less education than me, but her emotional intelligence is super high, higher than mine. So there are people who have that knack. It's as if they are born with an emotional guidance system in them. But most of us, we have to learn. And the truth is, it's a learnable skill also. It's a muscle you can develop. So please value this and also train your people in this. I read a book many years ago. The leading author, the leading expert is called Daniel Goleman. He wrote a book by the same title, Emotional Intelligence. So you could check it out. It's not an easy read, but a very useful read. I read it many years ago, about 20 years ago, and still valuable. The other strategy is the communication. One of the skill sets and abilities that I feel is underrated is communication. Supervisors who do not pay attention to communication. And that's why I have a mastermind purely focused on that, on executive communication. That's again for CEOs, managing directors, or C-suite executives, meaning if just one level below CEO or MDs, and it's by application only. And the reason why I had to create that opportunity, that platform, is I believe that as a leader, part of your core job is to communicate. You have to master the art of communication. One of your core strategies has to be communication. Because recently, I was invited to speak to some members of parliament, and I told them, look, soldiers use guns to influence, but leaders use words to influence. So as a supervisor, the number one tool you have is communication. So how you communicate, language, and how you package that language is going to either pull your team up or bring your team down. And that means you have to give the right information to the right people, keep an open door policy. And I like adding, some of you had me say it sometime back, I don't know which course, which program I was doing, is don't just keep an open door policy, keep an open heart policy. Because there are people who say, oh, by the way, you guys, you know, I have an open door policy. But when people enter your office, they can tell that your heart is closed off. You're like, please don't, when are you finishing and leave my room? It's not about the door, it's the heart. In fact, I never even used that word at Success Africa. They know that, hey, you are at liberty to communicate. Give feedback timely and appropriately, and accept feedback. And those of you who have secured the recordings or about to secure the recordings, I have a full program on giving and receiving feedback. It's a priceless program, trust me. So please make sure you review that for those of you accessing the program. The other key is technical skills. Be ahead of the pack, develop technical abilities and train others. Fine, I'm talking about the value of skill. I mean the value of attitude and character, but that does not take away the value of technical skills. If you don't know something, find a way. Go to school, find a coach, find a mentor. One of the best gifts you can give yourself definitely is get a coach who will be honest with you and give you feedback. Because you see, sometimes when you just rely on your colleagues to give you feedback, there are people who just give you strategic feedback. What I mean by strategic feedback is that they want a positive appraisal at the end of the year. So you mess up, you give the president, they're like, so how was my present? Oh, you did fantastic. Oh, you are the best. I've never seen this. Kumbe, they are positioning themselves. They want to stay in your good books, so to speak. So you leave that place feeling, oh yeah, I'm doing fantastic. But if you have an independent eye, if you brought your recording, for example, to me and I looked at it, then I'll give you honest feedback, what you did well and what you could have done differently. And of course, I'm not the only coach or in the world. There are many coaches out there. Look for one that you resonate with. That's my advice. If you feel like you resonate with me, fantastic. You can reach out to us. I'll share the contacts later and show you where you can go to, for more information. And if not, great, look around, ask around, find someone who can help you besides the formal education we get in school. Like these things, most of the things I've been talking about for the last 39 days, most of these things are not taught in school. I've had to scrounge around for over 20 years to learn these things because I feel these are things that are lacking. So there are these other skills that you need to go to school and get, and there are also these other soft skills. Even though we are calling them soft, they actually hard, they're actually technical. There are techniques around this where you can develop yourself. And when you learn these things, go and train your team. Don't just stay with the information with your heart. Empower your team. Like what you've learned today, go share. Because when you share, you master what you're learning. I cannot emphasize that enough. Learn these things, pass them on, empower your team, let your team be better. I'll give you an example. In one of the sessions, I didn't, for some reason, for the first time, things blacked out. I could not stay online. But then my team kept some of you who were there engaged. So what if they were not prepared? Wow. Thanks, Team Success Africa, once again. Yeah, so let me, Dorothy Opani says, yeah, just like you, I mentored Pamela Nataman. She surpassed me, but she's a great person and personal friend. Yeah, they are friends. They're genuinely friends that I can attest to. I got to know that. But you see, Dorothy is talking about that with glee and joy, genuine glee and joy. So meaning she has an abundant mindset. She's not like, oh, I got surpassed. No, but guess what? If she needs any support or help from Pamela will quickly go and support her also. Because I know Pamela also has such an abundant, amazing mindset. That's why she's where she is at. That's one of the reasons she's where she's at. So Olivier says it needs to be open door, open heart, and open mind policy. Great. Juliet Waiswa says, I love the open heart policy. You talk your mind out in a positive manner. Yeah, thank you. Stella, I've always leveraged on PI. So P standing for performance, preparation as a supervisor, and this is Stella Mbekeka. Performance, preparation as a supervisor, and those I supervise through goal setting, going beyond call of duty. I for influence, we are working in an era of business partnering. E, exposure of your open self to learn, the learning and unlearning. Thank you so much, Stella, for sharing that. Dorothy says a skill can be developed, an attitude can be improved or even changed. How about character? Isn't character inborn? How possible is it to change one's character that they have had for over 4 decades, for example? Well, I didn't say it's impossible. It's just that skill development is easier. In terms of isn't character inborn? Well, that is up for debate. For example, when I say character, I mean things like, for example, honesty or integrity. I don't believe there is a gene called honesty or integrity, but that's something that you find someone picked up when they were young. It is mainly through nurturing more than nature. Having said that, when you say character, I believe there are some things which could be inborn. For example, for me, for some reason, I've always had this sense of having hope that tomorrow will be better, even before training and all this. So yeah, so the way I think about it is it's much easier to find, it's always 100 times easier to find someone when they already have the character and the mindset than train them in that. So you're asking that how possible is it to change one's character that they have had for over 4 decades, for example? Well, is it possible? Yes. Is it easy? There is an over 90% chance that it wouldn't be easy, but it's not impossible. And sometimes things happen in people's lives that change their perspectives. That's why Paul talks about that can be transformed in a twinkling of an eye. So something huge, a sudden insight, a life-transforming experience happens in one's life, and they stop lying forever. That's it. So for me, for example, the issue you've had me share before, Dorothy, but for the benefit of some of us, I remember for me how I had to develop the faith, not the faith, but the character around money, not to take other people's monies, is when I was young, I saw it was about either 100 or 200 shillings. Hid it. It was about either 5 or 6. That's what I suspect. My dad beat me thoroughly. And from then on, I did swear that I will never, ever, ever steal anyone's money. And no one can stand in the world and say that I've ever taken their money. So my character was formed then. So my character around, or attitude around money, other people's monies, was formed around then. Now, if someone has been playing around with people's monies for 4 decades, is it easier? So it's easier when someone's character was formed during their childhood, a bit more difficult when it's past 40 years. But and having said that, something drastic can happen, and boom, they change, or they can be influenced. Okay. Galaxy person, you're throwing some very serious insights here. Please update your name if you can. Dorothy, character is inborn, but can gradually change with the environment and friends. Oh, Joanita, you're Joanita. Okay, thank you, Joanita. Yeah, so it's, again, depending on what you define as character. But when you talk about environment, that's the nurturing, okay? That's the nurturing, not nature. So I love that. I love that. So you find, for example, if someone has grown up in an environment of competitors, then they will develop the character of competition. And so then it is formed that way, okay? Testimony, I one time attended an interview, and the last question from the country director was, what would you hire? Skill and knowledge or attitude? I answered attitude. She signed off my contract that day. Skills and knowledge can be acquired. Those is now clear. First. Roll on the skill sets. Here are 3 skills any effective supervisor must have or must develop. 1, human skills. How do you interact with people? Because remember, you are not a machine supervisor. You supervise people. So you need those skill sets on how to deal with people. The other skills, of course, is the technical skills. Do you know what you're doing? Do you execute your jobs or your job or your work effectively? So you need to know how to relate to people, meaning you need to master the art. So set an intention that I'm going to find ways to master the art of dealing with human beings. And one of the areas I would encourage you to explore are things like psychology, sales, and marketing, believe you me, because then they understand how the mind works. The other skill set, of course, is leadership and management is another skill. It is all under that. And of course, communication. So communication skills, leadership skills, all these are very crucial. And then the other one is conceptual skills. So are you able to, to conceptualize? Are you able to think about things in terms of blocks? Are you able to synthesize information from multiple sources and create something? Are you able to develop a concept and sell that concept? So you are able to think through things, to go deep. In future, I'm planning to do something around that to enhance conceptual skills. I'll first test it out with the mastermind members, and then if if they welcome it, I might then open it up to the public. So mastermind members remind me to keep me accountable on that. Before the end of the year, we'll do that. So these are the core skills that you have to master and to put into practice. And so the key thing is for this particular image, it's really to give you the trilogy of effective supervision, okay? The technical skills, the human skills, and then the conceptual skills. So just set it as a goal or as an outcome to master these three. Then you'll definitely become an effective supervisor if you, combine it with the strategies and the mindsets I gave you. So, just when I say conceptual skills, it's your capacity, for example, it's at two levels. One is for you to look at, actually I think about it at three levels, not two. So there's the level where you're able to see multiple things around and you come up with a way forward, meaning you're able to conceptualize whatever is going around you into one way of thinking, okay, into something digestible. Because part of your job as a supervisor is to, recently I had an image which I believe makes a lot of sense. It may not be very tasty, but at least it serves the purpose. So when you see, rather than using birds, let me use chicken. So part of what chicken and the babies, what it does, or chicks, not babies, chicks, is if it finds a big piece of food, it really breaks it down into smaller pieces for the chicks to be able to take. So part of your job is to see big things and break them down into small biteable sizes for people to chew upon. That's level one. Level two is, are you able to look at the underlying causes of an issue, as an example, such that you're not looking at the surface, but you're able to go at the depth of whatever that concept is, whatever that idea is. That's level two. Then you're, of course, you're able to get the interrelationship of those ideas. Then the third key, which is very, very important, and that's an area I want to really start exploring, because I landed on it, and I'll keep it under wraps apart from this mastermind members. That is, how should you think about things? Because they are thinking processes and systems, they are frameworks in which you should think about things that enables you to become more efficient and effective to break down things. There are those frameworks of thinking to conceptualize things, if I go back to the actual word. But look at it in terms of, you have to develop processes and ways of thinking that help you to break down, to get things to their ultimate originality or detail or understanding or origin. Okay, so that's how I think about this at three levels. Let's see. Thank you. Mastery. With mastery, here, you need to list your abilities under human skills, conceptual skills, and technical skills. Okay. So if I was to summarize this, by the way, human skills is how you relate and connect to people. Technical skills is how you do your job. Conceptual skills is how to think that makes human skills and technical skills easier. So you also need to think about, how have you been applying these skills? Because we all have these skills in one way or another, of course, in varying degrees. And how are you going to apply them moving forward? So how have you been applying these, and how are you going to apply them moving forward? So these are the questions I want you to think about as you reflect on this subject matter, because there's a way in which you've been using them. So the question is, how are you going to apply them moving forward? Okay. So In terms of extra support moving forward, of course, if you want to access further recordings, just go to ethanmusolini.com/recordings. And let me see if I can make this a bit more readable. Oops, what did I want to do? I wanted to do something. Okay, cool, that's better. So some of us who want to access recordings, these recordings I promised that up till 13th, which is tomorrow. So you can access these recordings at $97. So I sent a text message to Samantha that we will keep that price up till Saturday at 6 p.m., meaning 6 p.m. Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, 6 p.m. Then we'll close that offer, and then the pricing will go up. If you're to access not just 40, but actually 50 recordings, I can guarantee the 40 because there we have only one recording to go, but definitely we are going to go to aim for 50. Okay. Then Ethan Musolini Live, if you came through, if you received an email through someone, or you did not register through this main list, because I mailed some of the lists, like for example, today, some of us could have come through other emailing lists that I've developed over the years. Please go here and also share it with other people. There is also Succeeding Daily Mastermind. That's for personal and career development, where you get more personalized attention and you're able to hang out with super successful people, and you access me on a weekly basis. If you're at CEO level or just one level below, please let me know. There is also another program for that, which we call Executive Communication. But both programs, they are by application only. The recordings, they're open to everyone so long as you have the budget. This is a story I've shared over the last couple of weeks. It has impacted so many people. If you don't know my story or you want to access it, and if you kindly help me share it. Then there is a link for the topic suggestion. So that should also be in the link by now. So we have some topics, about 5 already, which we are planning to do. But if you're also welcome to propose to us under career development, life and career development, which topics would you want me to cover that you feel would be very useful? So please propose. Then it has about 3 questions, so it's really short. These are my personal lines. This is for Nathan, in case you have any questions around the recordings or inquiries. Then Success Africa, where I'm a team lead. We do human resource consulting and training. This is the website. That's the email address. These are the contacts of some of our full-time consultants you can reach out to. And kindly give us your feedback about today. So according to my watch, it is 5:33. So the community always asks for 10 minutes. So I'll give you 10 minutes. So at 5:43, we'll close that segment. And then, this is a big then, I'll move into question and answer segment. So please note that your feedback is extremely important to us. Then when you go to that page of the recordings, by the way, and you prefer a different payment method, you can reach out to Nathan. He's also on WhatsApp. Me, I'm not on WhatsApp, by the way, but Nathan is on WhatsApp. You can reach out to him and then he can advise. Okay, let me see whether we have. Yeah, so the feedback form is the last message in the chat box. The last segment for you is also to reflect what did you find most useful in this presentation, and how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life and career stroke business. All right. So let me respond to some questions. Someone asked a question, and you're welcome to type in the chat box your questions. And Betty asked an interesting question, that why do bad leaders or supervisors continue to shine and rise and the good ones suffer? That's an interesting question, depending on where you're looking at from and which perspective you're coming from. So there are a couple of things. There are a couple of possibilities, and then I'll tell you I'll give you perspective on the possibilities, and I'll tell you my thought process and stand around this. A couple of possibilities is that there are people who know how to play politics to appear good, they might go and backstab someone here, and then they go put a smile here such that they show that they are really good. So there are those kinds of people who sometimes do that. And the other thing I've also noticed is that there are people who may be ineffective in other areas, especially say the technical area, but they are excellent with these, what we would call the soft skills. They know how to brand themselves. What do I mean by branding themselves? They know how to speak. They know how to keep themselves visible. They know how to put their ideas across with efficiency or effectively. So then all of a sudden, they appear on top of the pile. See, there are people who, I was talking to one of us here who is going to enroll for the public speaking program. And that person was saying, for me, I've been of the mindset that all I need to do is I just need to do good work and then let people discover. And in my view, it's not enough to do good work. You also have to market yourself. And for those of you who have access to the recordings, I would encourage you to look at personal marketing and personal branding. You need to brand yourself. You need to market yourself. So some of these people you're calling bad supervisors, they may be weak in these other areas, which is making them qualify as bad, and yet they are efficient and effective at branding themselves. That's why you're saying continue to shine. So there's a way in which they are branding themselves, how they are positioning themselves. They could be taking leadership on some, say, projects. They say, who wants to volunteer this? They put their hand up. Or if there is a debate going on, they stand up, they speak with clarity, they package themselves, they dress right, they speak right, and they know when to say something, they know when to keep quiet. So they have studied certain moments of the environment on how to position themselves that way. And sometimes the good ones, just say, okay, for me, I'm good. Okay, people will discover, just like someone who was saying that. But the good thing is that she realizes that that's not enough. So she's going to enroll for coaching on public speaking, because that's one of the best ways to brand yourself, to stand up and communicate. It's not enough to be technically proficient. You also need to learn these other tips and tricks on how to let the goodness come out. Even Christ said that you should not hide the lamp under a bushel. So you do not hide the light. The challenge is sometimes the good ones hide their light, and the so-called bad ones, what we call bad, they are good at marketing whatever little that they have. So it is seen. Now for you have a lot of good, but it's hidden. So the other one is lacking, you have 8 good points, but you hide them or you don't showcase them. So the goodness is, your values never comes out. This other person you're calling but has just 3, for you have 8. So the other one has the 3 and amplifies them, talks about them, and boom, 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 off they go. Okay. So from a technical perspective, that's my explanation. Now, let me tell you also what I believe. Number one is, Betty, I would encourage you to drop that mindset of bad leaders or supervisors continue to shine and rise and the good ones suffer. So you have it as a belief. Drop that belief, because if you have that belief, then you manifest it. Okay. And so that's number one. Number two, always as a rule of thumb, the so-called, if they truly have a character that is not right, or they do shady things, I will tell you that shining and rising is just for a little while. Okay, so because that competence takes you to the top, character keeps you there. So character, one day, someday, everything will come crumbling down. So never envy that per se. Instead, study and say, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that my goodness is out there? Not in a way of bragging and all that, but to make sure that my personal brand, also people get to know it, and that I'm able to show up and be on top of the pile, so to speak. So that's how I would approach it. Think right, do the right things. And I should also add, remember, personal branding and personal marketing. If people don't know you, it doesn't matter. Okay, if they don't know your goodness, doesn't matter how good you are. This concept of build it and they will come is not enough. You have to build it and market it. Okay, that's why Coca-Cola, even though I don't take the Coca-Cola soda, I have huge respect for their marketing. They are in your face day in, day out. So personal branding and personal marketing has to be mixed up with, plus public speaking, I should add, public speaking, personal marketing, personal branding has to be mixed up with your competence and character to shine. Okay. And then if you already have good and you have good character, then you will outlast these other people you're saying who are shining for now. It is temporal to catch up with them. Betty, please let me know if that answers your question. Please, I would appreciate that. Yes, please.
Yes. My question is, how do I keep relevant in a position where I'm the top leader somewhere and maybe my subjects are so well off? How do I prevent the underlooks and I keep at top as a leader to influence decisions? Thank you.
Come again, kindly speak a little louder. How do you stay relevant in an organization where?
Where I'm the top leader, let's say, and my subjects are the people below me, maybe they are financially more stable than me. So how do I keep my relevance and influence decisions?
Okay, got you. So that's, in psychology, we call it the imposter syndrome. So it is that moment of you feeling like you may not matter because you are short in some areas. But I'm going to ask you a very fundamental question, a very basic question, which is very useful for all of us. So are there areas where you feel you are more efficient or more successful than them, apart from finances? Yes or no?
Definitely, yes.
Exactly. So, and that's my point. I will tell you so there's something, it comes from you discovering who you are, number one. So if you have you secured the recordings, by the way, yet? Have you? Okay. So let me not put you on the spot. Whether you have or not, so I would encourage you to secure them and get the recording on purpose. Number one, you need to know your purpose and you need to know who you are in this world. Why do I say that? Is this. See, the truth of the matter is we are on different paths. We have different strengths. I will give you an example. Some of my coaching clients have more education than I am. Some of them are here in this room right now. Some of them are professors. I have many PhD people in my coaching circles. But guess what? That's their calling, that's their strength, that's their gifting. And for me, my gifting is in these other areas of giving them excellent advice on communication, on personal development, on professional development. That's my specialty. So if I was to start feeling inadequate because I don't have a PhD or because I'm not a professor like some of these super successful people, some of them have much more money than I do, for your information. And yet, ultimately, what matters is what is the value that I'm bringing to the table. So you need to know what you're bringing to the table and be comfortable with that and be at peace with that and know that you cannot be like other people. But let me tell you something. These other people also are admiring and wishing that they had the strength in these other aspects where you're strong at. And your difference, you see, your strength in that organization is the difference you bring. So, and that also means, so you qualify for, by the way, you better call me privately and I see whether you qualify for executive communication, such that since you're a CEO or the head of the organization, send your contacts to Nathan also. The moment you allow that thought to override your mindset, then your words will be weak, your body language will be weak, and you will minimize your influence. Therefore, to boil down the answer, it is this: value yourself, know who you are, and step into that power. Appreciate that they are who they are and use them as an inspiration, not something for you to feel inadequate. And when you speak, speak for the leader that you are. Speak from a place of the blessings that you are. Speak from a place of a gift that you are to them. And then you are adding value to them, and they also add value to you. And also use and also look at their success story financially as a moment of inspiration, not as a moment for you to beat yourself down. Let me know if that helps.